Imagine you had a pretty rundown ship, right? Pretty old, pretty worn down. So you start replacing some of the pieces. At some point, if you keep replacing those pieces, it looks like you have a brand new ship. But now the question becomes that since you changed all those pieces, does it make it the same ship or does it make it a new ship? And to add on to that, if you use those same old pieces that you replaced to make that same ship, does that mean there's two of that same ship or one of the ship? You know what I mean? The Ship of Theseus goes down with that, basically stating that since you're replacing the pieces on a ship, making it better or newer, does it make it the same ship since it's not? Let me go back. Does it make that same ship even though you made new pieces with it? So the way it was thinking about it is it's a wooden ship, planks, nails, all of that. It's pretty easy to replace a wooden ship rather than a metal ship, right? But what it goes depth into is that when you replace like every single bitsy, like everything of that ship, then it looks brand new. But since it's not used with any of the pieces that it had before, does that make it a new ship because it no longer has the pieces of the old ship? You know what I mean? And again, the extension to that is that if you use those old pieces to make a ship, does that make it another ship or that same one? And the reason it is a good question involved in philosophy, fucking dropped my phone. Anyways, uh, the reason that's a pretty good question in philosophy is because it's almost like a reflection to identity, basically stating that are you the same person you were as a kid? So if you take into consideration all you replace your personality, replace your looks, replace all everything like that, does that make you the same person or someone new? And it's a pretty good question involving identity, I would say, because if we go back to the Ship of Theseus, some may say that it's the same ship because, well, it looks the same. It's the same ship. You just replace the pieces. But since you replaced all the pieces, then it doesn't have any of the pieces of the ship that we once knew. So reflecting that as in human terms, basically, let's say I was more chubbier than this, right? I'm kind of like not well fitted yet, but the thing of now compared to then was that I'm a bit more fit, right? And of course, just more with personality, right? I I used to be less social, more timid, more scared, but now I'm more outgoing. I'd say I could do whatever I want, like mental wise, of course. But since all these replacements happened, does that mean I'm different from who I was before, or am I the same person? So let me go back to what I was trying to do. So let's take in my physique and personality. It's different, way different from when I was a kid, right? So let's the body and personality. Let's say they're the wooden nails. right? Since I have new wooden nails, does that mean I'm a different ship person, or am I the same ship? And in my personal opinion, I believe yes, you are the same person, or you're the same ship. And I feel like because you're that same ship, yeah, I feel like since you're that same ship, then regardless of whatever changes happen or whatever gets replaced, you're still gonna be that ship. But the more I think about it as well, is that it's almost impossible to think that you're the same person. There's some people that are very happy childhoods, happy everything, and then all of a sudden something happens to them, right? And they can go to this deep rabbit hole, unhealthy, very off put from the mind, and just almost like what people may say, completely different person from what they were. And that's the thing that contradicts this, well, my own personal opinion, because I I still feel like I am the same person, but there's so many instances where somebody just becomes something that completely different for who they were, to the point where it's like, why is my own experience or own opinion, I'm I guess I should say that I don't believe I'm right. There shouldn't be an answer to it. It's just that's what makes it a philosophical question, because it's very much to ponder about. But I feel like it's it's a very hard topic to talk about, because we don't really know like how to look at it. If that makes sense, I don't know. I think that was just I was just talking on my ass, really. But mm, from the other part of the philosophical question, also said that if you had used those same parts to make the the replaced parts, if you had used the replaced parts to make a ship with those, would that be the same ship or a different ship? What that means is, if you take all the personality you were as a kid, let's say again, I take my physique and personality, right? We take those off, my new physique, this, and then I still have those pieces on the side. If I rebuild that ship, would I make my kid, or would I make me as a kid again, or would that be a whole different kid? And I feel like that's a pretty good, interesting question, because does me as a kid go on about physique and personality? I mean, of course, there's way more than that, right? But if you add on all to those aspects, is that what I am? And my my answer to that question, again, is I'm not right. It's a philosophical question. There's no real right or wrong, unless you're pretty good. I personally believe that no, that's not the same ship. That's a whole different ship. I say that to say, because even though those are the same parts of the ship, it's I believe it's a different ship. The way I imagine it is that if I made uh me kid version again, and some way, even though again it's the same ship, in some way it's it's like you can say it didn't go through what went through, even though it's me all over again, even though it has all the damages, all the, how do I say, scratches or like that, yeah, like all the mold on the wood, whatever. I feel like because of that, it may seem that, oh yeah, he's the same replica as me, but for some reason I just failed to believe that. I feel like if I were to, for example, make like a me out of clay when I was a child, same ingredients and everything, me to its completest form when I was a kid. If I were to remake that right in front of me, I feel like that would be a different kid than me, you know? And I'm not sure why I say that. I really don't. I mean, I'm making this video to explain like why I think that way, but why I think one way and why I think the other. But in reality, I have no idea why I think that. It's just such a mind boggle, you know? Like I can't say for certain if that same kid that I make out of clay is me. Like I almost want to say is like, oh, it hasn't gone through the same struggles as me, or it hasn't gone through the same thoughts as me, and maybe that's what my mind is thinking. But then again, it is that same ship. Right now, I'm okay. Spoilers for One Piece. Okay, so the way I think about it is, uh, let's say the going merry, right? So they say that going merry was destroyed, right? You know how it was. If you, let's say if Frankie was on that crew and he was to rebuild or to replace the going merry, rebuild the parts, it looked like the new going merry, right? But I'm pretty sure that's the soul of Mary would stay on that new replaced ship. And if you were to use all the replaced parts of the going Mary to just build it right there and then, the soul of the Mary that it's on our ship wouldn't be on a ship that was built used with the replaced parts. You know what I'm saying? I know some of y'all might not understand the One Piece terms, but hopefully one day y'all will. But like I said, I've, on One Piece or in general in that world, these ships basically have souls, and once you build that new ship, you with the replaced parts, I feel like it have its own soul, and I feel like just because you have those replaced pieces, just because those pieces of wood have gone through many hardships and all that, it does not make it you or the old you, because what makes you you is everything you have gone through, currently going through, and will go through. And I feel like when you're rebuilt, that's you going forth on your current state. You're currently rebuilding yourself. You're currently replacing these broken down parts. But if you were to use the replaced parts to build something new, it does not make you you. It just makes a sculpture of what you were before. And in some way, that that thing that you built with the old you will have its own past past moment or past situations, current situation, and future situation that will be completely different from yours because it's not you. I feel like I said that right. So the main point is that even though you're built with different parts, or no, even though you're replacing yourself with different parts, you are that same ship, regardless of, regardless if it's with a new wooden material, if you went from wood to steel, whatever. I guess that's not what the thing was. The ship of this Theus, whatever it's called, was trying to say. I think it meant like a complete like one-to-one replica. But regardless of if, I believe that you are that same ship, and even if you were to build a new ship using the old pieces, that won't be the same ship because what makes a ship, or in our case, us, is the experiences when it was built or while it was whole. So I guess what it means to say is that what I mean to say is you are you because of what you have, will, or what you have gone through, are currently going through, and will go through. And you should never abandon that. You should never think that you're no longer yourself, because you will always will be you regardless of whatever you're going through. And even if you were to go back to think, if I was a kid again, I'd do this and that. It it would be you as a kid, but it wouldn't be you. It'd just be the sculpture of who you were before. So you shouldn't think of I should do this, should do that. No, you should stick on the moment because that's you. That is who you currently are, and it wouldn't be you if you haven't gone through that. So I guess that would be my take on the ship of Theseus, some shit like that. And I don't know why I went to like a deep message at the end. I don't think it was supposed to be like that, but it felt right. It felt right to just do that. But yeah, I'm no expert of the ship of Theus, but I did I did want to say out what I thought about it based on what I read about it just a minute ago. But I hope to learn more about it, or learn more philosophical stuff or other stuff in general. and hopefully I can better describe it next time. Maybe I might revisit the topic once I understand it more, or maybe if I end up change of opinions, I might go more in depth into that. But other than that, hopefully everything stays the same, and I hope that uh, I can have this walk with you again. And I want you to know too that you should wonder more, and wonder. Yeah, I guess wonder more. Whatever. Yeah, fuck. Just wonder more, bro. Literally, wonder more.